Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Hope you all are doing well. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. Hello, Tawana. Hello, Tanya.
Hi, Tanya.
Hello, ladies. You both look great.
Thank you. So do you. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. I am getting stuff set up, Tawana, so I will toss it over to you just to kind of get us started while I'm getting us set up here, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. Thank you guys for joining us again on this beautiful Monday. Hope you all had a blessed and peaceful day. We are so happy to have Tanya here with us today from Freeman Capital. As you guys know, the 10K Project has a partnership with Freeman Capital where they provide financial planning services to our members. We're always bragging on Freeman Capital and the amazing job they do for our members who choose that membership option. So we're going to hear from Tanya today. We're going to hear what's new with Freeman Capital. Hopefully, if some of you who have already purchased the financial planning package and you've worked with Freeman Capital, if you guys can chime in throughout the evening to share your experiences so that others who are thinking about it could get some firsthand information that may help them decide that now's the time. We are currently hosting a special on our financial planning package through the holidays. And so that's more than likely going to be through January 1st. If you use the code Holiday Wealth, all lowercase, all one word, no spaces, you can get $297 off of actually $300 off of the package, makes the price $297, excuse me. So super excited about that. If you go to the website, the10kproject.com, you'll be able to see that special showing out there currently. And again, that code is Holiday Wealth. Oh no, I said it right the first time. So $297 off. So it makes the price $300. Okay, I did say it right. Wonderful. We've got some other specials going on right now as well. Membership is $200 off of the annual membership. So that brings the price down to $100 annually if you use holiday code Holiday Membership. And then if you're interested in the Grant Masterclass because you weren't able to attend live, you can get $50 off of that class by putting in Holiday Grant. So super excited. These are some really, really good discounts. If you were already interested, now is the time to act. I don't know that these prices will be this low
ever again.
Yeah, I was getting before I said ever. I had to think about it. I can tell you for sure the wealth plan and the grant class will not. I can tell you that for sure. Membership, who knows? Sometimes we get so excited because we want you guys to be a part of the community. We may play around with that a few more times. For those of you who are from the beginning, our day ones, we used to charge $100 for lifetime membership. So many of you are grandfathered in at that very, very low price. I can tell you we'll never do that again. But $100 a year for what we give is more than reasonable. And really the goal is to get you in the community so that you can experience all of the amazing things that we're doing, all of the amazing partnerships that we have, like the one with Freeman Capital. So membership price could be this low again down the line, but we'll see. You have us all streaming and up and running, Ms. Cherie?
Yes, I do, ma'am. Thank you very much. So we want to, first of all, say hello to everybody here in Zoom. We've got our girl, Talisha, who is always in the building. We've got Kimberly from St. Louis. We've got Beulah from Tennessee. We've got Stephen from Atlanta. Everybody put your city and state in the chat. Also in YouTube, we've got Tawana from DC, and we've got D-Speed from Georgia. Everybody who is watching on YouTube, if you could please give us a thumbs up so that we can be blessed by the algorithms And we've got Shawnette from Kentucky in Facebook. So hello to everybody. If you all are in YouTube or Facebook and you're asking questions, I will see them. Because tonight is all about how we can build wealth even during a recession. And we have, again, our special guest here, Tanya of Freeman Capital, and they are financial coaches. They really do work with you with regards to where you are now, where you want to be, and the best path for you to get there. So there's what I like about them is there's no one size fits all, because some of us are in massive amounts of debt. Some of us are stuck in our careers and we need to level up with either a better career or another job, or it could be we need to start a side business. Some of us have families. Do you have a spouse that's on board? Do you have a spouse that's not on board? And they are really great at helping you wherever you are in life, and then whatever your plans are to get you there. So with that, Tanya, why don't you introduce yourself and let the family again know more about you and more about Freeman Capital.
So good evening. Thank you for having me again. Doing these presentations for the 10K project is a real highlight for me. You guys ask awesome questions, and that's the best part of these engagements for me. I am the Chief Financial Planning Officer here at Freeman Capital. I'm also temporary COO, so I'm very, very busy. I have been in financial services for over 20 years. I have been a certified financial planner for 14 years. I have shifted my interest in financial planning from ultra high net worth to high net worth. And now 100%, the most rewarding part of my career is helping our wealth builders. And with Freeman Capital, 100% focused on eliminating the racial wealth gap. So I've made a huge shift over the years, and this is very, very rewarding for me. I've been at Freeman Capital for about 2.5 years. I live in New York City. I have an 11-year-old son, Zachary, and I live here with my partner, Marvin. And I'm also getting my executive MBA at Kellogg Northwestern. So this is a perfect time. My finals are done. I have a nice break before classes start. And I'm happy to get started with you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. I was listening to a podcast, I think this morning, and they were talking about the fact that, and these are accomplished businessmen, they each have sold their businesses for multi-millions of dollars. And they said that, the worst time to start your goals is on January 1st. The best time, and they had dropped this on December 1st. I just so happened to just listen to it this morning, but they were saying the best time to start your goals is now, meaning December 1st or December 5th as it is. What are some of your thoughts with regards to that, with regards to how people should take this time of year and think about their money for 2023, heading into a recession if you don't already believe it's here? What are some of the things that you think people should think about as we're going through this holiday season?
So exactly what you mentioned, January is actually a terrible time to start a goal, because if you really want to be successful in achieving that goal, you need to plan for it. Mm-hmm. Now, December 1st is a good time. November 1st is probably an even better time. And the reason why I'll say that is because
don't wait until next year.
Don't wait until next year, right? Because you may have missed out on a huge opportunity to do things this year and give yourself a head start for the following year. So for example, we have come across clients who maybe have retirement funds and maybe looking to leverage these funds to purchase a home or to do other things. And it's actually December and January are really cool times to do that, because if you need to make a distribution, you could actually split the taxable year by taking a portion out in December and the rest of it out in January. So you're creating a taxable event for 2022, and then the rest of the funds will be allocated towards 2023, which you don't have to really do anything about till you file in 2024. So There are a lot of tax saving options that you may have that you would need to do by December 31st. If you don't do it by then, you've essentially missed the boat and you'll be left with just 1 year, and whatever thing you do will be allocated to that year. Also, if you're looking to do charitable contributions, you definitely want to get those in before December. So there are a lot of things usually around the tax side that you may want to take care of this year and not have to leave the burden on to the following year. The thought that goes into a goal is quite extensive, right? Especially if it's a big one. And we usually put too much on ourselves in January. You're very motivated, but that motivation starts to wane the harder something is to accomplish. So getting a head start the previous year is usually recommended. When it comes to the idea of a recession, I mean, I know we're here. As Shuri and Tawana know, Freeman, just like 10K, is a startup. It's a small company. We feel the effects of a negative economic environment much faster than the general public does, than publicly traded companies do. You see all these layoffs left and right. So the beginning of the year, it was all about, oh, there's all these jobs available, this quiet quitting and all these things happening. And companies are laying off people left and right. Tech firms are starting first because they're usually they have the most cash available. More mature companies will start to follow suit over time. So making sure your personal finances are in a good place, just in case you get hit with one of these tailwinds, you'll be in a better position to survive it. And also, the days of depending on a company to pay you your salary, to pay you for your retirement, to do all these things for you, create these safety nets, are pretty much gone. So taking the steps to ensure that you have control over your financial freedom is really, really important, no matter where you are in your financial life.
Well, I have one more question before I let Tawana go, because I know she has a ton of questions for you as well. You had mentioned the racial wealth gap when you had first started talking as well. I have my feelings with regard to the racial wealth gap and how we close the racial wealth gap. But let's take one family at a time. We know that the average Black family is worth about $18,000 roughly, and the average white family is worth $180,000 roughly, right?
Yep.
What are some of your thoughts with regards to how each individual family can close do you have that as a thought? Like, do you take it from each individual person, each individual family, or are you trying to look at it at a macro level? What are your thoughts with regards to how you're tackling the racial wealth gap?
So financial planning is very much a customized engagement. I can have my thoughts in terms of the process as a whole on how we can help all of our clients, but the actual delivery of advice is customized to each client. But there's a lot of awareness in our process that the wealth building process for a person of color in the United States is very, very different for a white person. Tell
us more about that.
So there's a lot of things that just happen for you, right? I'm in this executive MBA program at Kellogg. It is not a diverse population. And for example, most of the entrepreneurs in this program are not people of color. And when I have conversations with them on how they built their companies, how they started, there's so much talk about the friends and family round, right? I don't know any entrepreneur of color that has a very deep friends and family round. It just doesn't exist for a whole bunch of reasons. So the wealth building process, especially if you're starting a business, is very, very different. We have also, you all know what the fundraising process looks like. I believe Black founders get less than 1% of VC dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we experience every day. We're investor backed. So we sort of have to go through a different process to build our company. You have to be a bit more bootstrapped. You have to be a bit more creative, which is not always a negative thing, because I think that builds you for success. This is very much relates to what individuals go through when they're building wealth, right? Mm-hmm. These options that seem to come to people naturally just because of their position and who they are in this country are just not as accessible or as apparent to a person of color. And that starts all the way from high school. It goes through college, the decision-making process when we pick a school, when we figure out what the funding is going to be for that school. It comes from a place of lacking usually. And when you're in that position, you probably don't make the best decisions, which is okay, because by the time we work with our clients, we have a lot of awareness behind the decision-making process that was made in the past, and try to at least support our clients to sort of make decisions going forward from a place of wealth and not from a place of lack. If you make financial decisions based off of fear, there's some healthy fear, but completely from a place of having less, it will hurt you going forward when it comes to building wealth.
It impacts your choices. So I can say a couple of other things. I know one mother and father, they're Hispanic, but they're white Hispanic. And this is going to make a difference, right?
It's a huge difference.
Who had their son, go to college, and he was a good young man. So, he went to college, and as soon as he graduated, they bought him a house. They put the 20% down. It was a 4-bedroom house for him. And he had 3 of his fraternity brothers live with him and pay rent. So basically, he got to bank his $60,000, $70,000 a year check. And this was in the 90s when he was 21 years old. And then when he got married at 25, 26, he turned that into a rental and went with his bride to go live, in their next home up. My next door neighbor, it's the same kind of thing where his grandmother has a free and clear house. And when she dies, she's giving it to the grandson. Well, if you are given homes, to live in, and you don't have student loans, because a lot of us have to get student loans in order to pay for college, and you're either given your 20%, so you don't have mortgage insurance, you don't have to save up for the down payment, or you are given a home, free and clear, then those types of generational things I do see kind of snowballing. Now, I've also heard that some of us as Black people get houses from Big Mama and we don't keep them, or we get land and we sell it as well. But that, like those are some of the other kind of snowballing things that I think happens. But I also think, and this is what I wanted to ask you, how do you help somebody get from a disadvantaged place economically with regards to the racial wealth gap to, I'm able to close the gap in that very personal way? What are some of the things you're doing with your clients in order to help them?
So one of the things we do is sort of help clients identify the places that they aren't succeeding. It's really hard to see when you don't feel good about your finances. For example, we had a client that came on, and she, pretty successful woman, she had sent her daughter off to college, and her daughter got a full scholarship. And she apologized about 15 times in this meeting because she was apologizing because she had not saved enough money for her own retirement. She felt absolutely terrible about her personal financial situation. And I had to tell her, I was like, lady, you just made a huge accomplishment, right? You did, as a parent, I mean, I'm a parent. All I'm thinking about is, wow, she sent her daughter off to school with no bill.
Mm-hmm.
She did that. That took years to do. That's work, that's effort, time, her money, because she was so focused on her daughter that she had not saved for herself. I told you, you've done an amazing job. Yeah, now you can focus on yourself, but that's nothing to apologize for. Sometimes it's just being able to identify the things that you have done really well, but you can't see it because of the way you're feeling, or you're focused on the negative things, and taking that sort of feeling of accomplishment and just transferring it to something else. That's one of the ways. The other way that we help clients sort of change that thought process is by telling them that it's okay, right? We're in business because there's a lot of people that just need access to advice. It doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. You don't know what you don't know, right? So you mentioned a young person that was able to purchase a home with help from his family, but not only purchase it, leverage that opportunity into income. Not many people can figure that out. That didn't come from him just knowing how to do that. That came from him having access to information that most people do not have access to. That is what we try to help our clients learn in the wealth building process, so that it's not just a means to an end. How can this action that I take help me? Maybe not in one way, but possibly in two ways, because it's very hard to see opportunity when you sort of are so focused and have these sort of blinders on. I'm a certified financial planner. All of my planners are certified financial planners, every single one of them. We are a full Black and Hispanic team. I have a lot of experience in this, even me, when I was starting Kellogg, and it is the most expensive thing I've ever done in my life. All I'm focused on is like, oh my God, I'm going to owe all this money. I had to talk to one of my planners, like, what is the best thing for me to do? How is the best way to tackle this? I'm experienced, but when you are emotionally focused on one aspect, it's really, really hard to look at the full opportunity and make good decisions going forward. And that's what having a financial planner allows you to do. And let's be honest, a lot of these people, these examples that you're giving us, they have access to people. Why shouldn't we have access to people? Why shouldn't we have access to an advising team? And I think a lot of the challenges that we have with marketing and our message is the idea that a lot of the people that we are targeting can't even accept the concept of having an advisor team. Right. It's just so far out of their view. They're not used to it, but they deserve it. And we want to be able to offer it to them and make it accessible and affordable.
Yeah. Two things before Tawana goes. The first is everybody in the chat, YouTube, Facebook, if you have questions, any kind of money questions about investing, paying off debt, student loan, paying off your student loan, anything like that, please ask your questions in the Q&A so that we're able to see them, okay? The second is just a comment based on what Tanya says. There are a lot of programs out there that are accessible to either all Americans or Black Americans or women or things like that. We always talk about NACA, for example, for the housing and things like that. Part of you getting a team is a lot of people who are in the community know about these programs. So, they know about the scholarships and things like that. So really dive into either what Tanya's talking about or the 10K project. We have a YouTube channel full of resources for you. Don't let the lack of money get in the way, because there are a lot of programs out there, even if you're middle income and you're doing well, but you want to do better. There are a lot of programs out there. So with that, Tawana, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. So, Tanya, one of the things you just said was that, our community, they deserve to be able to have access in the support system. And I'm glad you used that word, because so often the community is exactly like that example you gave. We're very hard on ourselves because we've not focused on the future the way many of us know now that we probably should have. What's the first thing you guys do when someone comes to you for assistance and helping them change their mindset or feel better about their situation?
Honestly, letting them air it out. Because if you try to engage a traditional financial planner, financial advisor, that level of comfort is really lacking. You're going to walk into an office and you may let them know that you don't have enough in your emergency savings, and they might look at you sideways and not understand, well, how is that even possible? Why did you even walk into my office? That is gone when our clients work with us. So in the beginning, it's really just a dialogue around what are you trying to accomplish. We're pretty good at figuring out what the feelings are in terms of the lack of accomplishment in someone's head, or what they have accomplished and just can't see it yet. And we try to encourage and support our clients through what's about to happen, right? Because financial planning is a team sport. Mm-hmm. The planner cannot do it for you. There's a lot of work involved for our clients, which is why we love 10K clients, because you guys do a great job of providing education, access to information. A lot of the clients come really, really prepared. They have their information ready and available. They have a really good understanding of what their financial position is. Some of them come to us with their budgets already worked out, their cash flow worked out. If that's not there, we certainly work our clients through that process. Sometimes there have been many occasions where we stay on cash flow for a minute, because having control of money in, money out is the basis of all wealth building. Unless you're sitting on a chunk of cash somewhere, it's a stack of assets somewhere, cash flow is everything for our clients. And if you need support through that process, we can stay there as long as you need to. I mean, the 10K specific offering is 6 months. A lot of the 10K clients stay on and continue with Freeman. But within the 6 months, we're going to focus on whatever it is that you want to focus on, with an overview of your different areas of financial planning. It just may take some time. So in the beginning, it really is getting a sense of what our clients are trying to accomplish and putting them in the best position so that they can follow through on those accomplishments going forward.
Good, wonderful. Is it ever too late?
No. Never. It is never too late.
Never too late.
No, not at all. I mean, we have clients that are just out of college, clients that are just about to hit retirement or in retirement and want to leverage their assets the right way, whatever income they have coming in, leverage that to do different things than someone who's just out of college would want to do. But it's certainly never too late.
Very, very good. I want to go back to something you talked about earlier from an entrepreneurship standpoint, and the fact that many entrepreneurs of color are bootstrapping and, they're getting less than 1% of capital from VCs. And I want to talk a little bit about the 10K project and the Bet on Black pitches that we do. Coincidentally, I'll share with you guys that Tanya's partner, Marvin, was one of our first founders to pitch. If you guys remember, those of you who have been with us since the beginning, Dashable.
Yes.
I think actually I said I think Dashable was the first pitch that we did. And
yeah, I think so too.
And so Tanya's very clear on how hard it is for a founder to raise capital, right? And so, for those of you who are new to the 10K project, we put on these 10K Bet on Black pitches. We've trademarked that. So if you hear it somewhere else, let them know it's taken. And we bring a Black founder to the community every week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And they present to the community of investors their equity crowdfunding campaign. And we become for them those rich aunties and uncles that Tanya said most Black people don't have, right? We become that for them. And so the pitches are something that we're very proud of here, because we know that those dollars that we're helping them raise will keep them in business, for a few more months. Yep. For some of them, it will get them to the next goal that they have. For many, it will get them to the financial requirement needed on some of the portals before the portals open up their hundreds of thousands of investors to them. And so, the role we play at 10K Project is critical to the success of our Black founders. And so if you are a member and you haven't been coming, or you haven't been able to catch the replays as often as you'd like, please, as we go into 2023, add that to your resolution list, right? To be able to support the Black founders more. At the very least, come live to the presentation. There's something when we are, 100 deep, 200 deep on the Zoom, it definitely gives them another sense of, excitement and purpose. And they're so proud of themselves. They're so proud of us, and we're proud of them. It's just like this love fest that you wouldn't believe when we're on with the founders. They need us. They need us. They have amazing ideas. I mean, we're not just talking about simple businesses. I mean, this is innovation at its best. Many are Black tech companies that are doing amazing things. Even the ones that have products. These are innovative products that they have patents on. Like we know Black excellence. We know how we show up, and they're showing up to these pitches with all the bells and all the whistles and all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted. They are the real deal. And so they need us to help them get to the next level, so that another company that is not as good, but happens to be infused with a lot of cash, doesn't come and take that spot in the marketplace. And so we've got to show up and show out for them. And so for those of you who come to the pitches, I want to thank you greatly. The founders are always so appreciative when they call afterwards. They're like, wow, you guys have built a great community. And we know that, right? And so we're super proud of you guys, but it's important that we help from a founder standpoint as well. And in order to do that, we've got to get our own house in order, right? And so that's what we're talking about here tonight, is how do we get our house in order so that we even have disposable income available to talk about investing and doing some of those things that bring in cash flow.
Yeah,
100%.
We also, we're always, Tawana and I are always also inspiring you with regards to other ways that you're able to help the entrepreneurs as well. Sometimes they're hiring people full-time, sometimes they're hiring people part-time, sometimes they just need you to share their campaigns. So we ask you to do that. Sometimes there's always people in the audience who know about the industry. So we give as much to the entrepreneurs non-monetarily. Some of you have purchased their products during the Bet on Black pitches. So it really does, like people get that feeling of that buzz, and platforms notice as well. Absolutely. Platforms reach out to Tawana as well, because they know who we are, and we are able to do what they cannot do, which is truly educate the community, bring a community of potential investors together, and keep it platform agnostic. No matter what platform they're on, we're able to assist with, helping to bring the crowd.
Yeah. How I know we're making an impact too, Cherie? I used to think it was going to be the amount of money we raise per founder, right? I would wake up the next morning and I would check the campaign page and see how much they made. And then I started to realize that's not it. How we know we're going to be successful is now, when I'm not spending 20 hours scouring all of the platform pages, right? To look at every campaign to see where the Black Founders campaign is, because now they're calling us. right? Now the platforms are reaching out to us saying, hey, I've got a Black founder. I heard you could possibly help them. Or the founders themselves are saying, hey, I heard what you guys are doing. And so that's how we know we're being successful, because the word's getting out. That will lead to the big dollars. As many of you know, Cherie and I have this outrageous goal that a Black founder is going to be able to come to the 10K project and within 48 hours raise their $5 million. We know as a community, we can do this. We've seen it done in other ways. We've seen the sneaker lines around corners, right? In every community, in every city, in every state in this country. And at the end of it, the revenues have skyrocketed to millions and billions of dollars. If we could do that, we could absolutely come together and invest. Because when we stand on those sneaker lines, many of us are not getting anything for that, right? There are some of us who invest in those sneaker companies, but not enough of us that it changes the community. So we have an opportunity to change communities. Today, I heard from one of my investments, equity crowdfunding investments that I invested in last February. They went public. And it was like, wow, like they had, I posted in the Facebook, they had a plan. Like they were not playing. I invested in them like February 24th of 2021, and they went public. And it's just like, wow, amazing, right? That those are the kind of opportunities we're looking for, right? And I know now what it feels like to have the early seat at the table for a company that now is a publicly traded company. And so you better believe I'm going to be watching it and paying attention to it. Those are the kind of things that make a difference. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here at the 10K project, helping you build those portfolios, helping you learn about alternative investment opportunities, like, buying the storage facilities that we had a couple of weeks ago, buying profitable cash flowing businesses like Talisha and I do in our business, just amazing things we're trying to expose you to so that you can decide where's your niche. Of all the things we talk about, of all the things we teach you, how are you going to turn that into cash flow so that it makes a difference for your financial future?
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to add to that is when Cherie was saying that it creates an opportunity for, maybe there might be a job opportunity, there may be a way that you can support a startup in different ways. One of the best ways, if you have time, is to support the startup by doing some work and getting paid in equity. This happens all the time. I remember years ago, I was watching on TV, there was I believe he was Japanese. There was a Japanese artist that was painting murals. And in Facebook's first early times, he was tasked with painting a wall for them, and he was paid in equity. I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars that this guy was able to, in wealth that he was able to create by giving his time for a set amount of time to a startup that was in their early stages. You really believe in a company and you can help them by providing your brain, your time, and you can afford to be paid in equity, which means, you don't know what that's going to turn into, but it's a great opportunity if you believe in the company. And that's a good way to invest in a company as well. That's how a lot of startups keep afloat. We've done it. I am currently an advisor on 2 startups. I don't get paid to do this. I get paid in equity, and because those happen to be companies that I believe in a lot. And if I can help them, I certainly do. And I prefer to not, mess up their cash flow and get paid in equity. But this is how this works. This is how these communities grow. And the more our communities can support these startups, the better, because the problem is not the founder. The problem is not their product. Sometimes it is, but that's not unique to them. That's a problem across the board. But the problem is access to funding. It's a huge problem. And the more we can do to support these startups, the better. I have become really passionate about VC founders being more diverse. Going through the past couple of years, what we've gone through at Freeman, the only way to improve it is to be in it. And the only way to be a VC is to have access to money. So we have to start at this point to build so that way, even at that level, there's much more diversification, and we can offer funding to these companies on a larger scale.
Yeah. So we have several questions here and in YouTube. So let's kind of get started with those. The first is from Anonymous. What is your recommendation? Should we pay off our parent loan with retirement funds or as a regular monthly bill?
It depends. A lot of this is going to be, it depends. It depends on your personal situation. Now, I don't know what your Parent Plus loan is at, but when you pay down debt, it is an investment in yourself. So for example, a student loan is not a credit card, but I'll use the credit card example. If you have a 22% interest rate on your credit card, it's costing you 22% a year to keep this going, right? On whatever that balance is. When you pay it down, you freed up your cash flow by that amount of money, and then you can transfer it to somewhere else. Now with the Parent Plus loan, it depends on how far you are from retirement, number one, and it depends on your cash flow situation. So the numbers would have to work in order for us to give you a real recommendation. But there's also benefits to paying down these loans. There's tax benefits. We would have to look at all of that at the same time. But it really depends on how far you are from retirement. You cannot borrow your way through retirement. Right? So
say that again.
Yeah.
It's impossible. There have been, even with, when I work with high net worth clients, we love our kids so much, willing to do anything. And I have had clients come to me and say, hey, I need to cash out this 401k or this IRA so I can pay for my kid to go to school. And it's the worst thing to do because it's almost impossible to recoup that. You could borrow though. We could borrow to send our kids to school. We can work through other ways to reallocate those monies, pay off that debt, but you can't do it with your retirement account.
Yeah. And everybody, we have had Dr. Pamela Ellis on twice. This is why I go out and look for resources for you all. Dr. Pamela Ellis helps your college-bound students get scholarships, oftentimes full ride scholarships. She does say it's best for you to contact her as early as 14.
Yes. Thank you. I'm happy she said that.
Yeah, get started. So if you have a freshman in high school now, talk to her. There are a lot of scholarships that go unclaimed every year that if your youngster just applied for it, even though it's for Native American, whomever, if your son or daughter applies for it and nobody else does, they may give it to your son, and you could start stacking those scholarships so that when they're ready to go to college, they go on a full ride. Okay. So if you're a member, then look under scholarships or college in the Knowledge Center. But I do believe that we actually have at least one of those is public. One of those interviews is public on our YouTube page. So we want this community to be a place where you have so many resources that you're like, you know what, before I pull money out of retirement, let me go and ask 10K, or let me go to the YouTube page or go to the Knowledge Center and see if they've interviewed anybody that can help me pay. Yes, or send me an email.
If there's a question, Sharia Tawana will send it. Will send it over to me.
Because the last thing, I'm going to say this as Cherie, I know Tanya can't say it. The last thing I would want you to do is pull money out of your retirement plan if it's not necessary. There are a lot of programs out here that if we all collectively came together and put our heads together, our resources and quotes with regards to who we know, what we know, the networks we have, you shouldn't have to dig into your retirement account for things, especially if you start early. So if you have a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, start now reaching out to Dr. Pamela, get into her entry-level webinar, get her to tell you how to find these scholarships. because it could save you a lot of money.
And just to add to that, even if you end up having a bill to send your child off to college, it's really important to figure out what that bill is going to be sooner than later. And remember, at this age, your kids are 16, 17, 18 years old. They're not babies. They need to participate in this process and have a lot of awareness and skin in the game when it comes to the decision that they make, as in terms of which university they go to, what major they take, because
the return on investment.
Yes, because what happens a lot, unfortunately, and this is really unique to communities of color, are two things. One, they get into a school, they start a major, and they no longer want to continue with that major. They want to transfer to another school. They lose credits. They've lost money. Money you cannot recoup when you make those decisions. Or families get into a situation where they just can't afford it.
Anymore.
They can't afford it. And guess what? That loan you took still has to be paid back.
It back. Yeah.
So the decision-making process children do need to have this is how they learn, by the way. This is how they learn the difference between needs and wants, the responsibility when it comes to money, the decisions that you make in terms of money. You're not putting the responsibility on them. You're not giving them a bill, but it sort of gives them a heightened awareness on attaching a cost to decisions, and probably will help them make better decisions going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Anonymous has another question. Does Freeman Capital walk you through the NACA process?
We can walk you through the process. We cannot support you through the follow through, right? There's a lot of follow through involved with these services or these opportunities that some people just don't follow through, and they lose the opportunity. So at the end of the day, your planner can certainly help put you in a position where you can follow through, but we have seen a lot of people just not be able to do it because they have not followed through on the process. We can certainly support you, but you have to be willing to take the steps to actually make sure this happens, and that you can take full opportunity, take full advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. And I will say with NACA, we, again, in the Knowledge Center, it's not on YouTube public, but in the Knowledge Center, if you put in NACA, we did a panel with people who have gotten approved with the NACA program, as well as a realtor and a mortgage broker that really kind of went in depth with the process. And the mortgage broker also talked about, I think it was a Georgia program as well. So, definitely listen for that. And then with NACA, there are a lot of people online who have gone through the NACA program, and they give you the good and the bad of the program and how long it takes and things like that. Hint, everybody that I've listened to says it takes about 9 months to get through the program. So it's not like you're going to be in your house next month. So with these programs, the follow through, like Tanya's saying, is very important.
I just want to add also, Cherie keeps referring to the Knowledge Center. For those of you who are members, you have access to the Knowledge Center. It is our knowledge repository. So every piece of content, every webinar that we've done is in there. Every masterclass is in there. If you're not a member, you can go to the10kproject.com, become a member, and you too will have access to that Knowledge Center.
Yes, thank you. All right, next question for you is, with open enrollment and tax planning for 2022, I've been considering implementing a Section 105, adding a health reimbursement agreement. What might I not be considering? That's a broad question for you, and thank you.
That is a very broad question. I honestly don't know how to answer that question for you. I would need more
Well, what is a
information.
Section 105? What does that?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. All right. Sorry,
I would need
Anonymous.
more information.
Sorry, Anonymous. Dimitri is asking, a budget and a cash flow, anything else needed to prepare for the financial planning meeting?
Having a list of your current assets. Now, since this is a 6-month engagement, you have 2 options. We do have a platform where you can link your accounts, that be your investment accounts, your bank accounts, even your debt accounts, and that information will sort of populate itself. Not everyone does that. Sometimes 10K clients like to wait until the 6-month engagement is done and then onboard to Freeman fully, and then they'll start linking their accounts. So if you have a list of all of your assets, and when it comes to any of debt assets that you may have, having the balance, the current interest rate, your current monthly payment, and how much is owed, and how much is available if it's a credit card. So things like that. Just having a list of your assets is a really, really good way to start. If you don't have your budget mapped out for you in your first meeting with your planner, they will certainly send you something so that you can populate that information for them.
Great. Next question is from Kimberly. Is there one debt reduction program that works no matter what your current financial situation is? For example, is it the envelope method, the highest interest rate first, etc.? How do you determine which system to use?
That's a great
It is. I like the envelope method. I'm an old school person. Something about the tangibleness of doing that makes me feel good. And I'm touching on how I feel about it. It depends how you feel about it, right? Every client needs to assess what's going to make them keep staying invested in the process of paying down this debt. If you feel better by just seeing the balance go down, then you're going to start with the smaller accounts or eliminating accounts first. If you are less interested in that, paying off your interest is the highest interest account first is definitely the way to go. It really depends on what's going to work for you. The planner is 100% invested in you staying invested.
Yeah.
We want you to continue to make the right decisions and to stay in the process for yourself in the long run. We have had clients end their subscriptions with Freeman because they tapped out. Essentially, they no longer, they may have been in a financial situation that they felt was too overwhelming for them, and they no longer were willing to do the work. That is not a position that we like to be in at all. Our planners don't like when that happens. I don't like when that happens because we're in business so that we can help people accomplish their goals. So we try to make the process as easy as possible, be as supportive as possible through the process, because we want you to accomplish your goals. So whatever decision you make in terms of a plan, it's 100% dependent on how willing you are going to be to follow through on that plan. So whatever works for you.
And the thing to remember too is you get to change your mind, right?
Yes.
You try the envelope method and that doesn't work for you. Then you go to the lowest interest. That doesn't work to you. You get to change your mind as long as you stay in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question here from YouTube. DSpeed96 is asking, do you deal with TSP and help to see which plan is best?
Yes. So we cannot, obviously we can't connect to your TSP and make decisions for you, but our planners go through the investment options and help you pick the investments that work best for you.
So what is TSP for those of us who don't know?
So that is just a retirement account that's unique usually to public service workers or people working in
like
the government.
Teachers and things like that.
Yeah. Now, what's hard about those plans is that there usually is not a lot of information in terms of the investment options. I believe the federal government uses letters. So there's an S fund, which just means stock. There's a G fund that means government fixed income bonds. So if you are not well versed in this, you're going to look at this like, I don't know. But that is the problem. That is the big shift over time. That's not unique to communities of color, but just in general on how economics work in this country. There's been a big shift from risk from corporations to employees in terms of you being responsible for your own retirement, you being responsible for your own safety net, and you are tasked with making decisions and things that you may not have much experience in, but we do help our clients do that.
We have a question here from Facebook. Shawnette is asking, she says, first of all, I feel like I'm a good saver and I live below my means, but I'll be starting a new business in 2023. Then her question is, are your services more geared towards personal planning, or will you be able to assist with a business model?
Yeah, so our senior financial planner, Rick, actually is a small business owner himself. He's been doing real estate investment for a really long time. So he has a lot of insight into what it takes to either shift from 9-to-5 work into starting a business, or how to manage both at the same time. A lot of our clients are either business owners or have some sort of a side business aside from their 9-to-5 job. We're very much well-versed in making those shifts and planning for those changes, and in a lot of ways highlighting all the things you have to consider when you do make those changes.
Good.
A couple of questions in the chat here. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to read the ones that were buried in the chat that I thought were good questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go in there as well.
Okay. I can go if you want. Patrice has the question here. How has your advice changed knowing that we are in, or there is a coming recession?
So the biggest issue that we see is the debt. If you're holding on to debt, the interest rate is just going to go up. And a lot of our clients also have student loans. And we have tried, we've had a tremendous opportunity over the past year to, if you're not putting money towards your student loans, then you're shifting it to pay down other debt. So the biggest thing is paying down debt, because it's just going to get more and more expensive for you to cover it. And if we don't have additional income coming in to cover that deficit, it's just going to hurt you going forward. So that's one of the biggest things. The other thing is really getting awareness around your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
COVID times made us very, very loosey-goosey when it came to signing up for things and not using them and not even being able to find them. We have certainly gone through this exercise with many of our clients to uncover things that they are paying for and not using anymore and getting rid of them. Cash flow and your debt will hit your cash flow really, really hard, your expenses and debt. The other thing is, inflation hits everybody differently, right? If you're someone that travels, if you're an entrepreneur and you have to travel, you're getting hurt right now, right? Flights are up about 40%. If you did not need to buy a new car, your inflation feel is different. So everyone's inflation strain is very, very different. It depends on where their money is going. The biggest strain, I think, that has been hurting me personally and our clients is food. I went to Aldi's and paid $4.50 for eggs, and I was very, very upset this weekend.
Did you pay $4.50?
Yes.
We have the same prices here. Yeah.
Oh my, we would not.
My mother has a specific brand, and like we do the organic and all of that.
Fancy egg eaters. Okay.
Yeah. But we don't buy other things. So, we spend more on our food. So yeah.
I try to be laser focused on this bill and try to save as much money as possible. And there are just some things that I'm just not going to buy anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
now.
What's interesting is there was an article, I think last week, that said that the newest group of people who are shopping avidly at the dollar store are people who make $100,000 plus. Did you see that article? Yeah. So people are using the dollar store as their grocery store. Is one of the phenomenons that happened during during a recessionary time period. So, and I'm not saying that.
So taking into account we got very used to making things convenient, and there's a big cost to convenience, whether it's takeout or your groceries being delivered, things like that. you know what, get in the car and drive to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So finding these ways to lower the price, because I don't know if you noticed, but if you get your groceries delivered, the prices on Instacart are not the same as the prices.
No, they are not. They're much higher.
But I will say this. So there is a farmer's market. I live in a rural part of America. So there are like farmer's markets all around. But there's one in particular. I bought like these big, potatoes and carrots and things like that. And I literally walk up, I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be $40 or whatever. And the guy was like, $22. And I'm like, did you count everything? Literally, this is like, did you count everything?
Yeah.
So trying to, if you can, buying vegetables, like buying a lot of vegetables, because health is wealth as well. So my concern is, especially for like the dollar store people, and look, if you have to go to the dollar store in order to find food that you can afford to eat, I definitely understand that. But there will be a cost at some point, with high blood pressure and cholesterol and things like that. So how can we balance it out where you're able to eat well, but still eat on a budget?
And I'm glad you brought that up, because Cherie, in the Facebook page today, we posted, we had a talk to a founder today, and unfortunately his campaign is going to be over before we could get him in to pitch. So as a courtesy, I just went ahead and posted his campaign. He has a farmer's market app. And so if you guys go to the Facebook page, I think it's called SoCo farming app, but he's matching you with farmers markets in your area so that you can benefit from those fresh items, really organic items at very low prices.
At very low prices. Yeah, it does make a big difference.
If you happen to live in a bigger city, I live in New York City, and it might be something unique to New York, but sometimes if you're walking down the street, you'll see these like fruit stands. Those are subsidized by the city. Those prices are cheaper. Yes.
I didn't know I know they're cheaper, but I didn't know they were subsidized. They
are subsidized by the city to try to present food deserts, right? So low income neighborhoods. The dollar store is positioned where they are for a reason.
Yes,
right. But when you depend on these places, you have a lack of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. So the city years ago had implemented a program to try to prevent that by offering subsidies to these fruit and vegetable sellers to post up on the corner and sell fruit and vegetables to the community. If you have access to those in a bigger city, definitely pass by and get your fruits and vegetables from there.
Yeah. So we've got several questions. I'm going to do like rapid fire with you. Okay.
Okay.
Patrice said, you mentioned taxes. Does Freeman Capital also provide tax planning and tax returns?
No, we do not. We don't have a CPA on staff. I have 2 planners that are currently getting their EA licenses and certifications. The issue I have with delivering this service is that we have clients all over the country. It's really, really hard to do a good job and be a specialist in every single state. So while we are preparing to be able to deliver more valuable tax advice and planning, we cannot file tax returns for our clients. We do assist them and connect them with someone that can.
Okay. Patrice, you're probably, my dear, going to have to get on the program, but I will ask this question for you. Patrice is asking, what if you have no debt and your positive cash flow? Patrice is asking, how would you advise people who are actually well-positioned right now?
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? What do you want to do? We have a number of clients who are well-positioned financially, but are not reaching their goals because for a number of reasons, they haven't put a plan in place to reach these goals. They have not thought about emotionally what these goals mean to them. A lot of times we are trying to accomplish other people's goals, and that's really, really frustrating when you're following someone else's success and trying to mimic it. So we would need to have a conversation as to what you're trying to accomplish and help you with that. if you have positive cash flow, awesome. That just means you're getting a head start.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great thing. So, final question here. Anonymous is saying, I am moving to another American city for 2 years, but I want to limit my expenses and do not want to support two households. Is it best to do an Airbnb, rent, or buy a home and consider it as an investment?
We would have to do analysis. I would not say Airbnb unless you're not moving to somewhere in the United States or a place where the Airbnb costs are really, really low. Airbnb has a lot of additional fees that you don't realize until you actually book the reservation. We would have to figure out what the real estate is looking like in that area. It may be cheaper to rent if we have enough money and we could see a value in the investment, right? Because it's not, you purchase something, 2 years is probably not enough time to realize a positive return on it, because there's too much going on right now when it comes to real estate. So it would be hard to see the value in that, but we would have to make an analysis on the 3 different options.
Yeah, and definitely do not Airbnb long-term
No.
your primary residence, because there are too many stories out there of people who doing the 30-day Airbnb, and then on day 31 they try to kick the person out, and you can't. You have to go through the legal courts in order to do that. So, and then there are some places now that are cracking down on Airbnb as well. You have to have certain certifications in order to do it, or they're saying not in their areas at all. So,
and there are other apps that you can use other than Airbnb. No shade to Airbnb, but there are other apps that do that accomplish the same thing. Like this one called Furnish Finders. There are other places where you can get long-term rentals without a lot of those fees that Airbnb bakes in.
Yeah. So, well, those happen to be all of the questions. So it's SoCo app, everybody, SOKO app.co.
Yes, and they also have, I was going to say, they also have a campaign going right now.
Yeah, Talisha also put the WeFunder in. I wish I had known this. I would have put our own little tag in there, but that's okay.
That's okay. He'll see the jump.
Yes. So, well, I wanted, first of all, Tawana, you are good with money. I think you are, based on all the stories that you tell me, and you've definitely learned lessons over the past, I don't know, what, 15, 20 years since you've gotten better.
At least 20 years, yes.
Better and better with money.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you are doing or focused on while people are tightening up and things like that? Any advice you have for people?
So I think that was my sister earlier who said that she was a good saver. And she is.
It was your sister.
Yes. I wasn't always a good saver. And so now that is something I focus on, is trying to save more so that I'm actually looking to have 2 years of emergency savings. And so that's my goal. That's what I'm working up to now. Last year, we focused on eliminating debt completely. Then I had a wedding and got a little bit more debt. And so now I'm trying to get it back down to zero where it was pre-wedding. But I think the goal really for me is to stay focused. I like to travel. And so staying focused and not getting too off my goal tracker is really key for me. I want to maintain my lifestyle, but I don't want to go too crazy, right? So there's a balance for me of trying to still maintain the kind of life I want. I don't want to go to work every day, all day, and not explore and live, right? For me, that's the most important thing. But trying to find the balance between keeping it on budget, saving, and still enjoying life is key. And I don't always succeed at it, right? Sometimes I have to have those hard conversations with myself to say, okay, you've done too much, right? This was you had great time this month, but now it's time to chill out, right? And so it's eating at home, which is a little easier to do these days. Eating at home, being able to do things that don't cost as much from an entertainment standpoint. I haven't been to a movie theater in forever, right? But I may watch something on Netflix. So it's really balancing where those dollars go, and making sure I'm thinking about where they go. Whereas there was a time where I would just, spend and not think first, kind of like dieting, right? You really have to decide, where, if I only have 200 calories, what am I going to use them for? What am I going to splurge on to get the biggest bang? It's the same thing for me, with really just being mindful about what goals I'm trying to do. I'm also trying to leave the workplace full time in the next year, 6 to 8 months, maybe a year. And so there's a goal there that I'm striving for. I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. And I think fear has stopped me from pulling the trigger thus far. Hence I want 2 years of emergency money, right? Because people say 2 years, you're only supposed to have 6 months. I was like, yeah, but I'm leaving my day job.
You get 2 years as an entrepreneur.
Right. And I'm leaving my day job, so I need 2 years. But so I've got a lot of goals that I've placed out there for myself, and just staying the course is the key. Because my mindset is right, but we still get distracted even when your mindset is right. you still get off course sometimes. So I would just say, come up with a plan, make sure it's an attainable goal, right? Take it slow. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. Be kind to yourself above all, right? Don't be hard on yourself. And then just stay with it. That would be my advice. That's what's worked for me. And when you slip, when you don't meet the goal, or you don't make the right decision, get right back on track. Don't say the heck with it all. Get right back on track.
So I would like to add to what Tawana was just saying, which is really interesting because I see what you're doing from a completely different lens, right? You're at a place of independence and security. So what's stopping you from leaving the 9 to 5 is that sense of security.
Fear. It's fear.
Yeah, it's fear of not being secure. But the difference is you are able to make that decision because you're choosing to. When you change your place of wealth, not by choice, that feels really, really bad, right? Yeah. When you get into a position where you're no longer have this financial freedom and you were not prepared, that's not a good position to be in. There are going to be plenty of times in your financial journey where hopefully we get to a place of abundance, and that just means that you can take an advantage of an opportunity without it hurting you financially. But there may be an opportunity that comes along that you're willing to go back to security or go back to independence because it's that important to you. But making the choice to do that is very, very different from being put in a position where you're doing it out of you have no control of the situation and you have to. Yeah. So it's where Tawana is at is a really good place because she's able to adjust. She's able to make decisions by choice. Yeah. And we all want to be in that position going forward.
I remember.
Oh, I was just going to say, Sheree, I love that she just said that, because there are some people who are choosing to go back into the workplace to accomplish a goal. Right?
Yep.
And so, and
that's not a bad thing to do, right?
That's not a bad thing either.
Yeah. So I remember when it was 2007, I had decided that, I wanted to leave the workplace and go, full-time entrepreneur. But it actually took me, because at the time, the only bill that I had outside of a student loan, which still ain't paid, was a car note. So I said, okay, I'm going to pay off this car so that I could be completely debt-free. And you just get very focused, very serious about it. And I think it took me a year to do that, to finish that up, paying off the car so that I didn't have any bills, that were due. So, when you're thinking about, okay, what do I really want? Understanding that there is some sort of a time horizon, but then also understanding like when I get here, then I can transition, um, and I'm transitioning again, as Tawana knows, and I think I've talked about it a little bit on the channel here. I decided to transition again this year. So, but it takes time to do those things. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to build a second stream of income and a third stream of income. And giving yourself grace and giving yourself the time to do that, especially when you are not desperate, is so freeing, because a lot of people wait until the pink slip comes, until Elon Musk buys the company. And, even though they knew Elon was buying the company for what? A good 9 months before he actually got in there. And then people were shocked when he started letting people go, right? So I think that for some of us, 2023 is a year of preparation for a true shift, and sometimes shifting during a recession is the best thing for you, because let's take a business. If you're starting a business now, there's going to be a lot of competition, but that's a great thing, because it forces you to really look at the entire process and really elevate your game in order to beat out your competitors. So don't look at the recession as a bad thing necessarily. Look at it as an opportunity for you to really get a competitive edge, So yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity. We've talked about the fact that there are a lot of businesses that are going to be for sale. There's, $68 trillion of wealth transfer happening over the next 20 years. And we have an opportunity to lay the groundwork now for success. So I think we have another question here as well. Oh, Dr. Virginia is in the building. Several of my retired friends have decided to re-enter the workforce for different reasons. One told me her quote unquote fidelity funds are decreasing, even though she is not tapping into those funds. Is she invested? Does she have stock? And she must have stock. Yeah, so stocks are down right now.
Even bonds are down. So just being invested is, you're going to see if you're invested in any way, unless you're an outlier or your investments are an outlier, you've seen a reduction in value. Yeah.
I know a couple of my stocks. I have a couple of stocks that I have on my little app, and I went in and looked at it, and one was down 85%. I'm like,
so what's
I know
happening?
What happened with that. I know what happened with that stock. So
what happens with someone in retirement? It's funny because the idea of retirement has changed dramatically. I have very few clients that talk about retirement. What they talk about is financial freedom. It's just having the ability to do what they want to do as opposed to what they have to do. But the term retirement just doesn't exist. I have very few people that don't want to work in some way, shape, or form, even as they get older. Now, when you when you're depending on a retirement account and you take a distribution when the market is down, it makes it really, really hard to recoup that. So unfortunately, what the doctor is referring to is the need to get income in, because it would really hurt them. It will minimize their total retirement years for that account if they take distributions on a down year. But having the ability to adjust, right? If we have different streams of income, if we diversify and not focus and be dependent on one account and plan properly, it helps us get to retirement a bit easier, because the market is going to go up and it's going to go down.
It's very interesting because I have a baby boomer mom. I'm in my mid 40s, and she has, her retirement, like we were told when we were growing up, and the way that the baby boomers did it was very much, you put your money into the market, and when you get a certain age, you'll be able to draw from it. And what I'm noticing is, and actually wrote it down here, there are 4 things I'm really focused on from a monetary point of view. There's income, so like getting as much income as possible. The second thing is cash flow, which I'm discovering that we're really shifting from, the retirement accounts to how can I buy cash flow. So if y'all want to know more about that, the10kproject.com/freedom, the10kproject.com/freedom to get that report. But number 2 is cash flow. Number 3 is cash, like having a certain amount of liquid assets out there that you can get your hands on. And then the 4th is wealth. And I've been kind of toying around with like really talking with the community about these 4 different buckets that we kind of need to pay attention to. It's just like your weight versus your cholesterol versus your blood
100%.
pressure versus, like you need to pay attention to all of those numbers because all of them are important, but they all have different functions. So I'll toss it over to you as well. Like and I will say next week, we actually have a gentleman who is working on building a $20,000 per month passive income stream to himself. So he's in his, I think, early 50s. And like, that's his whole thing to retirement as well. But I want to toss it over. And then any final comments you have, Tanya and Tawana, as we wrap up tonight.
So I would like to touch on what you were saying, Cherie. Sometimes we get clients who have wonderful investment opportunities that they get presented with, but they fail to walk through what this opportunity would mean, right? So when you buy a tangible asset like real estate and you liquidate your funds, your investments, or take this money out of your emergency savings, you have to have awareness about what can go wrong, right? Because you just really minimize your liquid assets. And what if something goes wrong and we no longer have the cash to pay for it because you have put it into this opportunity? So weighing out the pros and cons of investment opportunities, particularly in investments which are not that liquid, which may produce cash flow in the long run, right? Exactly what Cherie was talking about. But let's make the right decisions so that we can sort of be okay before that starts happening. There's usually a time where you're gonna lose this liquid asset to get a tangible asset that's going to give you income, but ensuring that you're still going to be good in the meantime. And that thought process, the planners work through. And sometimes we get excited about an opportunity and don't really think through what that's going to mean for us in the meantime. And being positioned to take advantage of these opportunities is where you want to be, so that you can do these things and not be strapped from a liquidity standpoint in the meantime.
Yeah, I'll do a shameless plug here. So Talisha and I opened a micro private equity firm earlier this year, and we are buying cash flowing businesses, and we are helping our clients who are buying some of those businesses raise the capital that they need by giving amazing return on that investment. And we're giving upwards of 20% on 12-month term loans. And so you can't get that in the bank. There are ways to get cash flow in a really good way during a recession. And we're doing that every single day. We're doing it, and we're loving every minute of it, and how we're helping our clients meet some of those goals in this recession. And so, the thing I love about the 10K Project is that we are exposing you to a wealth of knowledge, right? That now you get to choose from to say, maybe that's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, we had a gentleman who was buying storage facilities, right? Wonderful. He came up with that plan because he was looking for a storage facility for one of his tenants who he had to give keys for cash. He was selling the building, but the guy he was selling it to didn't want any tenants. So he had to give the guy who was living there some cash to say, give me the keys, you can get out of your lease. But the guy needed somewhere for his stuff to go. So the investor tried to help him find a storage facility. They were all full. In that process, he decided to say, well, wait a minute, they're all full. This must be a good business for me to try to get into, right? If I can't find one. And so he started buying storage facilities. That became his thing. Now he's not even doing real estate anymore. He's focused completely on storage facilities. We're teaching you guys how to do all of these things so that you can find your thing that allows you to get the cash flow you need, get the experience you're looking for, start building wealth. And so, if you're not already a member, please consider joining us. If you are a member, please take advantage of all of this stuff you have access to, right? If I looked at everybody's credentials to see how many times you logged into that knowledge center, I'm betting it's not going to be a lot. There's a lot of information in there. You've already paid for it. Use it, right? Yeah. It's important that you use it. And for those of you who find value in what we've talked about tonight, and you're like, you know what, maybe I am ready to have someone professional help me through with my finances and really getting on track, please reach out to Freeman Capital. All you have to do is sign up through the website, the10kproject.com. Select if you're already a member, just select the wealth plan package, and you'll be able, good, Cherie's going to show us the coupon codes. You'll be able to sign up using that holiday wealth code, get you $297 off. That means the wealth plan turns out to be $300 for 6-month unlimited touch points. We've had members tell us that they got a quote for 6 months of financial planning touch points at a different vendor, and it was over $4,000. So This is a steal. You hear me? A steal. Now's the time. Now's the time to get, and not because it's the end of the year, New Year's resolution. Now's the time because now's the time, right? Now's the time.
And you can also give it as a holiday gift to somebody else as well. If you have a mom, or if you have a child going to college, or somebody else that would be blessed by something like this is an excellent opportunity for them as well. Go ahead, Tawana.
Very good point, Cherie. We've been talking about the gift of equity, but what about the gift of financial freedom? That's even better. I love that idea.
I would like to just add to everything that Tawana and Cherie are saying, because I do not partner with everybody. There are a lot of wealth building groups, and I have been 100% spoiled by 10K, because there's all of the information that they give you, I can 100% stand by. And my issue with partnering with other groups is that some of the information that gets given to their members, I can't co-sign. And if I can't co-sign the information, if I don't feel comfortable with the partner, it puts me in a very uncomfortable position when they send clients over, and I have to reject whatever it is that they were taught in that wealth building group. But you guys have access to so much information, and it is so valuable. They really do give you a lot of information so that you can take advantage of it and build wealth in the way that works best for you. And we are positioned to support you through that process. It's the best position for us to be in, right? To work with someone who is prepared. And if they're not prepared, we help get you prepared. But also, it's just a compliment to whatever Cherie and Tawana are giving you access to every single week.
No, thank you very much for saying that, Tanya. Thank you. That's very sweet. We are very protective of this community, very protective. And so we feel exactly the same way about you. We don't send our folks anywhere, just anywhere. So we appreciate you and what Calvin and the rest of the team are doing and are building. It's just, we've got to support each other. I believe, and I didn't always believe this, that was part of my growth journey, is we will only succeed together, right? I used to think I had to get out there and hustle by myself and be the first one to get things and hold back information because I didn't want anybody else to get there first. That's garbage. That philosophy didn't get me anywhere. We have to do this together. We absolutely have to. This is the only way we're going to succeed. is if when we find out information, we share it with you. And when you find out information, you share it with us, and we connect each other and connect our people with other partners that are going to help them get to their goal. The mission is clear here: financial freedom. There's nothing else we're trying to strive for, right? And we really want generational wealth to be something more than just a slogan on a really cute t-shirt. Like, we want it to be real life stuff here. This is not a game. We've got a lot of lost time to make up for, and our grandchildren's children are dependent on us right now. We've got to get it together. Today is the day. Now is the time.
Absolutely. Well, with that, Tanya, did you have anything else before we go?
No, I would just open it up that if you do have any questions or want to have a conversation about Freeman services prior to signing up, Tawana and Cherie have my information. You can certainly reach out to me. This is not something I offer to everyone, because then my email will be going crazy. But 10K is really important to us for a number of reasons. What Tawana just mentioned about helping each other and to be depending on each other to succeed is a real thing. Our engagement with 10K has allowed me to figure out a service that allows us to partner with other financial institutions. I wouldn't have been able to do that or figure that out had we not had the partnership with 10K, figuring out how to price it accordingly. And just in reference to price, only 10K has access to that price. We do not offer that price to anyone else, and we never will. Only 10K has the access to us the way that they do. And that's because we value the partnership. We are invested in this community growing as well, and we want to continue to participate in that.
Right. Patrice, email me info@the10kproject.com, info@the10kproject.com, and I will send you Tanya's info. So, okay, everybody. Well, I want to thank you for being here tonight. Hopefully you got a few nuggets, but the big, Tawana is...
We can't forget, I didn't talk about the pitch tomorrow. So
and
don't say goodbye yet.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully we gave you a few nuggets to think about. I honestly, as we were talking tonight, think that some of you may want to go back and hear the Atomic Habits panel, because when you match up knowing where you are today, where you're going with that atomic habits, those atomic wealth habits, and the fact that your success is only as strong as your systems and the systems that you and Freeman Capital are pulling together, I think that things are going to get a lot more clear, not just in wealth building, but in every area of your life. So with that, Tawana, what is our Bet on Black pitch tomorrow night?
So tomorrow's pitch is a company that does touchless wireless power. They've got massive, and I did use that word, massive government contracts.
They do.
Massive.
I got a chance to peek at it today.
They're on the road to 5 million. This is their second raise. They're on the road to 5 million. They're already at 2, a little over 2. And so we're going to help them get to the 5. So super excited, but y'all know I always say that, super excited. I always say they're amazing, and I always say I'm super excited. All of those things are true. But tomorrow will be a treat. So please join us 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you are a member, if you are not yet a member, the10kproject.com. If you enroll tonight, we can get you on that mailing list, and you can get the link and time for tomorrow's pitch.
That is right. Okay, everybody. So we showed you the holiday codes. They're also in the Facebook group. They're also going to be emailed to you. They've been emailed to you. Take advantage of those. 2023, I believe everybody can financially level up no matter what is happening in the economy in 2023. If you need assistance, Freeman Capital is here for you. The Knowledge Center is here for you. If you can't find something, email me info@the10kproject.com so that I or Tawana can help you find it. And let's win. Let's win financially. So with that, Tanya, thank you so much. I'm glad we were able to catch you in between your semesters
Oh, yes,
of
me too.
your MBA program. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And Tawana, definitely we're looking forward to tomorrow night's Spin on Blackfish.
Yes. So. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful evening.